this episode, it's a little bit cruder, a little bit more raw than our other episodes. So if you are adverse to conversations about death, suicide, or dick jokes, then maybe skip this one. But if not, here is a real conversation and episode and horror stories between me and David. He came here and visited, and it's very exciting. I like this episode, even though it does cut pretty deep. All right. Enjoy. What up, meatheads? It's Travis, American Butcher. And this is our spooktacular Halloween episode. And I'm joined by the very scary, very patchouli wearing David. I didn't know that was a thing, but it is.
It was somebody that I was spending time with recently.
Sexual time with.
That's spooky enough, I think.
Yeah.
Good cutting enhances the quality of good meat. Poor cutting results in an inferior piece of meat, regardless of quality.
Dude, it's gnarly.
Ew. What's wrong with that hand?
I don't know, man. Just this one knuckle. This one knuckle just got really nasty one day. I can't crack it anymore or anything like that.
When your hands get sore, David, you're supposed to soak it in cider.
Soak it in cider?
Inside her. That's called low-bearing fruit. I just picked it.
Yeah.
I'm proud of myself. Milo, stop walking. Milo is being a dumb dog for Halloween.
But lovable, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, he means well.
He does. And I do like Milo. But he's very much like, Take my dog, please.
There.
I got a bunch of horror stories.
Oh, good.
Submitted from listeners like you. But I don't know where. I guess I got... Oh, here. Here we go. The meat block. David, you're better at reading. So here.
Okay. Let's see. First one's from Rocky Red 86. He says, I've got a slaughter story. Let's see. First one's from at Rocky Red 86. He says, I've got a slaughter horror story for you. While walking through the kill floor on my way out to the barn, where we salted the day's hides, I split my eyelid open. Our slaughter floor had a loop in the rail where all the weighing was done, and on this loop we hung spare trees and offal. One of those trees was unfortunately hung upright, and to my demise and my own stupidity, I walked directly into this tree. The hook slipped just under my right eyelid, causing it to split open, and ended up needing 8 stitches. Jesus Christ.
What? So what does that mean that the tree was hung upright, do you think?
It was probably empty, but hung as it should be. I guess, and so it was. I guess he walked right into it. He says he wouldn't recommend getting stitches in your eyelid. It makes you want to scream as the doctor plunges the needle towards your eyeball over and over again.
Now, I haven't had the pleasure of having stitches in my eyeball.
No.
But if you're new to this podcast, I share personal experiences. That's how I could relate, and so I could only speak on my behalf. But one time I was at a rock and roll concert, and I caught an elbow underneath the chin from a heavy-set Spanish gentleman in Southern California. And I was in the middle of singing along with the rock and roll group, and my teeth touched.
Oh.
And my tongue was in between them.
Oh, no.
To the point where when the doctor was stitching it up, he stuck a Q-tip through my entire tongue. It was still connected on the ends, and I still have a scar. I'll show you right now.
Wow. Wow, no kidding.
And
Go right through it.
Yeah, it took 40 stitches.
40
stitches, internal stitches. I don't have feeling on this or taste on this part of my tongue right here.
Wow.
And then I wasn't working at the time because of poor life decisions. So my Cobra insurance ran out the day I was supposed to get my stitches taken out. So I took them out myself. Like I went to the hospital and then I ended up, or the doctor's office, and I ended up getting a call saying, they called me and said like, no, don't take them out yourself. That's what they said you're going to do in the waiting room. And I'm pretty much, oh, sorry, too late. And they're already out. I used cuticle cutters, uncleaned, to take out stitches out of my tongue. And then coincidentally, or whatever, I ended up getting an abscess in my tongue. And about like,
no shit.
Yeah, like 2 weeks later. So the internal stitches, my understanding, were supposed to dissolve. And I feel it. Oh my God. I had to go back through this whole story because there's a great anecdote in the beginning of it. But I'm feeling it. And I pinched, and I find the last stitch that wasn't a dissolving stitch because the outside weren't dissolving. The inside were cow gut, which were dissolving stitches. Mm-hmm. And I pulled it out, and it's like an inch long, and then all this pus just filled my mouth. Like, ugh. And I spit it out and rinsed my mouth out. I was fine. But the anecdote that I remembered is when I got my tongue stitched up, I called my parents on the phone because I was younger, in my early 20s, and not having that many resources of people to call. And through that conversation of meet me at the hospital and etc., I ruined my sweet razor by bleeding all over it and shorted it out. And that's when I got a iPhone Series 2, which was brand new at the time. And I go down the next day with my tongue in stitches to go get an iPhone. And I go down and I'm like, how much is this phone? And they're talking to me and they're really nice and they're explaining it. I'm like, this is fucking weird. But I realize I'm talking like, who is this phone? And I'm sorry if that's insensitive. But they thought I was mentally handicapped. And they're like, look at you. Oh. Look at you getting an iPhone.
Really?
That's great.
Really?
Yeah. Do you work? I work. Yeah, I could work. I'm sorry if anyone finds offense to that, but that is a true story.
Well, you get to see how someone might be treated.
Yeah. And then another time, talking about the tree, is when I worked in Vermont, we used to hang. We always ran out of hooks, so we would transfer all the chilled carcasses to trees.
Yeah.
And we would climb up on these stairs to put them on the trees. And this big motherfucker, this twin, who I've talked about in previous podcasts, he was the one who was caught. He wasn't caught. He just told everyone that he jerked off in a pond with a pebble in his butt. And he goes to hang a lamb on the first spike of the tree. And when he came down with the weight of the lamb, his arm went through the second spike of the tree.
Oh, wow.
And we had to like physically like help him because it was like a fish hook. It was above his head and we had to unthread him from it. Yeah.
Jesus.
Do you have anything about that fun stuff?
Not hook trees, but I think maybe the second or third day that I worked on the kill truck with you actually, I had forgotten the importance of retracting the winches when not using them. And they were those really heavy winch hooks. And I stood up full force into one, gave myself a black eye. Safety first.
Yes, safety always first. What's our next story?
Next one's from old Neil.
Okay, Neil.
At Polish Dot. His story is so he has a couple of non-funny horror stories.
Polish Dot.
He'll like that.
Yeah.
He says a good few years ago, a butcher whose family owned a shop in Belfast was at the slaughterhouse where they were killing boar at the time. While moving them out of the pen, one of them got a bit wild. And this one hadn't been tusked. The butcher got the sorting board to usher the board back into the pen, but the board butt him, and the tusk went through his leg, hit the femoral artery, and he bled out and died before the ambulance even got there.
Ouch.
Yeah. I don't love handling pigs anymore.
Well, they're mean.
Yeah.
I like hearing all this stuff, like when being in the thick of it and manipulating pigs and like using sorting boards and using your knees. Now I just cringe and thinking like, if this animal just backed up in the squeeze with my knees just moving it, it would hyperextend my fucking legs.
Oh, for sure.
And then like
both of them.
And then I've had, I've heard the thing where like pigs, like if they bite you, they genuinely leave with a piece of you. And I've had a pig put my entire kneecap in his mouth before, but like didn't do anything. They're rooting animals, and I can understand. Yeah. They're powerful,
insanely powerful for their size and weight. It's just I don't know.
You hear Milo drinking in the background.
What else has Neil got for us? He says his next story happened on a farm in Hillsborough in Northern Ireland.
Oh, the wee folk.
Yeah.
Is that?
I think well, that's what he says.
Okay.
I mean, we didn't say that.
Yes.
A family dog who got caught in the fumes of a slurry tank. I think you call it silage or haylage.
Oh, I got several questions. When you mean the fumes, like the...
Come on, Neil. Yeah, what is that?
Yeah, is that some... Okay, continue.
It's believed that the girl from the family tried to get close to save the dog.
I thought it was a donkey.
It was.
What kind of magical creature is this that switches... It's like an animorph.
So this gal goes to save the dog who got caught in the fumes of the slurry tank.
Mm-hmm.
The girl passes out from the fumes. Her brother attempted to save her, but he got knocked out too. A second brother and their father were so overcome by the fumes. The sister survived, but the two brothers and the father had died. So one of the brothers was a well-known rugby player, and it shocked the country, most of whom weren't aware of the dangers of slurry or silage fumes. It all happened in a matter of minutes. So basically, like, the dog gets caught. I don't know. What is it? What the hell is silage fumes? What are they doing over there?
I don't know, but, like, I just think of a... What do you call it? Like a...
Like a slurry pit?
Yeah.
Can you get caught in the fumes of a slurry pit? Because I've had to clean those out a number of times.
You've cleaned out slurry pits?
Yeah.
Like shit ponds?
No, not the lagoon, but like the actual pit in the plant. You know, the
like the grease pit?
Yeah, that's big enough for several people to be in.
I know at a place I worked at had a rendering room that was it was big. It was a couple thousand square feet. And a cleaner was down there cleaning with bleach, and the decomposition ammonia ended up making like a mustard gas.
Really?
And like he ended up like throwing up, getting sick. And then like I know like a electrician went down there and ended up, we needed to call the ambulance because he got sick because there was a forklift running inside the building. Yeah. Don't tell me that I can't run a combustion engine in closed doors.
Oh man. I'm reading ahead.
Oh. Well,
I shouldn't have.
Well, I'm excited now because I haven't read these because I'm extremely dyslexic.
Well, our next one comes from, it's cold in here.
Okay. It is. It's tepid in here right now.
It is. Well, yeah,
we got a wood stove going on and the door open, and we got a nice breeze coming off the sound.
That's true. It is. It's damp, but it feels good. It feels crispy.
Moist.
Yeah, not like that stagnant Midwestern air.
Oof.
Anyway, so Cole says that he just wants to say hi and then tell us he's been playing with meat for 10 years. And he,
Since he was,
has some stories
13?
for us. So yes, probably. I don't think people were named Cole before 1999.
Mm-hmm. That was a masturbation joke. Just adding that low-hanging fruit to my basket of low-hanging fruit. I'm not above it.
It's harvest season.
I feel fine with these jokes. I almost made a joke earlier about like rooting pigs, and I don't understand why the urban legend is always about a dog walking in on a surprise party and the dog is like licking peanut butter.
What is this about dogs and peanut butter?
You know, you heard that urban legend where it's like, we were all there for like a surprise party and like we were about to jump out and she put peanut butter on her area and the dog was licking it off.
God, I don't know that one.
And it always happened like my brother's friend was there. It's like one of those things where it's like, it did happen. There's a video, but you can't see it because it's on the roof of the school.
All right, Cole's got a wealth of mostly retail horror stories.
I love it. Bring it, Cole.
Yeah, this one he says his favorite slaughter story was about his first knock.
Okay.
So this one's not retail. This is a slaughter story. He had never killed before, and he fell into the job of plant manager on a tiny on-farm inspected processor. Wow, this sounds a lot like me.
Mm-hmm.
Probably. But anyways, so the owners had a custom exempt mobile butcher truck. They had him come train him and 2 employees how to kill and dress hogs and sheep mostly. Okay. This gentleman is named Aaron, and he ended up becoming a close friend. Okay, that's great.
So Cole and Aaron work together in a mobile custom exempt slaughter truck?
Yes. Yep.
I'm just trying to...
Yep.
They're out there like us, like our relationship, how it started.
That's right. Cole says they operated the kill floor without inspection, so they could train.
That's a dream.
No shit. For about 3 weeks, once a week. So he got 3 good sessions in, custom exempt, just for training.
Mm-hmm.
On the first day, when they opened for inspection, the trainer, Aaron,
Your dress
friend,
rehearsal's over. It's showtime.
Yeah, this guy shot the first 2 lamb, bled, skinned, and dressed all of them. The 3rd lamb got run in, and he handed me the captive bolt and said, "Okay, bud, it's your turn."
You don't throw in your understudy in the 3rd act?
Nope, you sure don't. He says that he grabbed it and shaking, he had never killed anything more than a chicken, and now I'm charged with bolt stunning a sheep. So
in front of the USDA?
In front of the USDA. So Aaron, the future friend, yeah, same.
By me.
Yeah. Aaron stands next to me and shows me where to shoot and reassures me I'd be fine. So I put the bolt about a half an inch off the head of the lamb.
Ugh.
Yikes. Lined up my shot and fired. The lamb dropped before I could exhale. Aaron turns to me with a look of utter terror and screams, "What did you do?"
I'm waiting for the other foot to drop.
Yeah. His look of shock turned to a grin and chuckled, with his cheek packed full of chew, and said, "Good shot, buddy. I told you you'd be fine." I think you did that to me too.
I probably did.
Yeah, I think so.
I like to have fun with it.
It helped. It helped that we had an inspector that also liked to have some fun.
Yeah, an inspector who wanted to shoot animals just as much as we did.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Who was particular about what rules he wanted to follow.
Yeah, was pleased to hold the backup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, my favorite story about that inspector is when he took a safety shot on a dead animal.
Yeah, he sure did. I think my favorite story is the time that we had to do like 20 hogs one day, and he was dilly-dallying. We needed him to sign off on a couple of carcasses so we could move on, and he had brought his own firearms.
Nice.
And was shooting crows on the farm.
That's someone who's enforcing rules of humane handling on animals such as chickens.
Yeah.
Very similar to a crow.
Yeah.
And he's out back with a shotgun blowing apart crows.
Amazing. That's right.
And this is Trump's America.
Yeah, that's right.
That's freedom, baby.
Let's see. We got another one from Neil already. Oh, no. I read this one. Okay. Let's see. So we got one from... He sent us a retail horror story.
Ooh.
Doug says, so my old boss sold his retail shop, and the new owner promoted me to head butcher/manager.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
On the promotion.
Nice work, Doug.
I'm sure it's well earned. Hopefully no one felt slighted.
But someone probably did.
People always do.
They do.
You know what sucks? You're going to feel this. David and I are going to freak you out right now. The reason David's in the great state of Washington and the Pacific Northwest is because he's accepted employment on the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to him where if maybe he'll share that with you in later episodes or now or whatever. But regardless, and you're coming in at a higher position, and there's going to be people who are going to hate you for it, David.
Yep, that's right.
And they're going to want to, they're going to be crabby.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to, such as, I'm not trying to psych you out.
No, it's true. I mean, I know that's what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. But you know what you do on your first day?
Have a pizza party.
No, you find the toughest son of a bitch there, and you knock him out with one punch.
Yeah. Maybe just send him home for the day.
Well, I worked with this guy, and we'll get back to your story. And he was one of those chefs who's like, I want to be a butcher. I was like, all right, well, working in this retail spot ain't going to get you whatever. He's like, when I used to run kitchens and I'd be hired on, the first thing I would do is just, like, my first day is just fire someone so everyone knew I wasn't fucking around. I'm like, that sounds awful.
Yeah,
you sound like a super unpleasant person.
Yeah, especially like if you really can't afford to fire anyone.
Yeah.
Or there's no reason to.
I just expect the owner's like, you don't have fire hire capabilities.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably going to happen to me. So
you're fired. That's an employee talking back.
Yeah. Point.
Mm-hmm.
He says, not much longer after that was Memorial Day weekend, the first big holiday of my own. So we killed it Friday and Saturday and had just one more big day left of the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
The owner's never there on Sunday, so it's usually the day I don't have to worry about coming in hungover. Saturday night was full of drinking and partying.
I have a feeling he has to worry this day.
Yeah, I think so too.
Mm-hmm.
I think he started taking Ambien.
I love Ambien.
Yeah. He says, I was invited to a party around midnight, and I really should have called it a night.
Invited to a party around midnight?
Yeah. Around 2 a.m., the girl who invited me to come up and kiss me, and she had transferred a tiny piece of paper from her mouth to mine and said not to spit it out.
This guy's not microdosing, just full dosing it.
Hold on. Did I send this email to us? Okay. No, this is not my own story. He says, I didn't know what I was in for after that. About an hour later, I was feeling really good and had asked if there was another, so she gave me another tab. Now, I had never taken acid before, and I had no clue what
two hits was about to do. You did, an hour before.
Yeah, you did. I had no clue what 2 hits was about to do to me. I started to realize my responsibilities and found a bedroom and tried to sleep it off. There was no sleeping. Around 8 a.m., I was contemplating calling out, which I had never done before, and I got a text from my first cutter saying he was calling out, and then another from a front-end manager saying he was calling out. God damn it, somebody always calls out when you want to call out.
Yeah.
I decided I couldn't call out and got a ride to work. I got to work before anybody else, and I was staring at myself in the mirror, telling myself, you got this, everything will be fine.
He's giving you that fucking Boogie Nights mirror confidence.
After that, I pulled out a bone-in chuck to cut blade roast.
I thought we were going on with the Boogie Nights
so
theme.
did I. Yeah, so did I. So he pulls out a bone-in chuck to cut blade roast. When one of my butchers came to clock in, I started having a slight anxiety, and I felt I needed to tell him. I asked, "Have you ever done acid before?" He laughed and said, "Yeah, I've done that once or twice." I said, "Listen, I'm tripping on acid for the first time, and I'm kind of freaking out. We have 2 call-outs already, and I really need your help today." He laughed, and I forgot what he said exactly, but I remember that he stepped up and he had my back. No one else knew what the fuck was wrong with me. I couldn't cut meat. I couldn't help the front end with customers. I could barely wash dishes, and we were slammed. I could only suggest what to cut and to support everyone emotionally.
I like that.
Yeah. I had tripped until 3 p.m. that afternoon. It was one of the worst days of work I'd ever had. Jesus, dude. Yeah, I can't imagine.
Like when I first started dating
shit, that was supposed to stay anonymous.
Oh. Do I need to edit that name out?
Yeah, yes.
Damn it. This is live to tape. I don't want to go back.
Sorry. Can we make a note somewhere? 26.
No, when I first started dating my wife and courting her in the ways of my seduction, we worked together and we'd go out and get cocktails and stuff, and we would
like after the shift sort of thing? Yeah, okay.
And it started innocently, and then it ended up like getting blacked out drunk. And I remember Cinco de Mayo where we're in Hollywood, and like it's super crowded at this Mexican bar that we're at, and I'm standing on the bar with my arms against the bar, but they're at a full right angle, like this, and like protecting her, and like I'm a fixed object, and this dude kept on bumping into me.
Yeah,
and then he he threatened me physically with violence, and I was blacked out drunk. Well, I wasn't black. I remember the story, and then I just turned to him and. My days crewing around when I was in the hardcore scene, and like I'm not scared of anything. Well, I think it more has to do with like me being like a more of a diagnosed narcissist or whatever. But I just turned to him and like when he threatened my life, I just laughed at him, and I was like, "Dude, I'll break this glass and just stab you with all the pieces of it."
Yeah.
Anyway, but that was one of those days where I went to work the next day just borderline, just like
man,
the day after Cinco de Mayo, just terrible. And my wife showed up, and a lot of us were drinking, and got everyone the best hangover cure, which is this really greasy breakfast sandwich from this local place, and Coke Slurpees.
Oh man, yeah, that's pretty good.
And it worked. Now what helps hangovers is my migraine medication that I take. Actually clears it up like that. But
yeah. My hangover cure, usually if I drink, let's say on a Saturday night, what I'll do is I'll start off by getting really depressed for about 72 hours. And then make sure that I sleep about 40 hours over the next 4 days.
Because now you got those hangovers that are like 2 days long.
Yeah, at least 2 days long.
Now, have you experienced with you've experienced with hallucinations? I think everyone in our age group has.
Yeah, for sure.
Listening to the launch, perhaps the the or the Tetris song, and you're just raving out.
Yeah.
My parents used to drop me off at raves.
Really?
When I was in high school, in junior high, and then pick me up the next morning.
Wow. Yeah, I recently was at a wedding and was having a really good time drinking wine. And then I just wasn't really paying attention. I was just kind of like meeting a lot of people. It wasn't my family. I was a guest, and I was having a good time, and like kind of talking a lot. And someone that I was with kind of handed me something. It was like, here, have this.
Is there still wine?
Oh, yeah. And I didn't think about what it was that I was eating.
Mm-hmm.
But what I was eating was a mushroom cap, which made the rest of it very, very challenging. Very challenging.
Yeah.
Because it took effect almost right away. When I was a kid, I'd eat just a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And this was just a little bit, but I hadn't experienced that in a very long time.
It's weird. I think we have a privileged experience with the demographic we are and the age range we're in. And maybe you, the listener, have a different experience, but like, it's just, it sucks when you have those friends who can't grow out of being 25. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
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 Oof.
Wouldn't go back to that age ever.
Neither would I.
No, not for a second.
No. I would it's one of those things I would never, I don't live by regrets because I love the life I have.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very, not blessed or, because I'm an atheist. I'm happy.
Mm-hmm.
If I went back and changed one thing or whatever, it's like the butterfly effect. I have a beautiful son. I have an amazing wife. I have a good job and an amazing house.
Mm-hmm.
But I did have a lot of terrible, shitty decisions. That
between then and
here.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, same here. Yeah, some real low points.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess, man, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like Andy Dufresne.
Yeah.
Crawl through a mile of shit.
And come out clean on the other side. I ain't never sucked no dick for some cheese. All right, what else did we got? All right. Now we've gone through our horror stories, and I'll check the email before we exit to see if there's any other ones. But now we're going to read some Q&As and try to answer them to the best of our ability.
Yeah. First, have you ever gotten caught in the bandsaw?
Yeah, the back of my hand cut through my cut glove and didn't do anything. That's happened to me twice. Only through
Same spot?
No. Different spots. One was super early in my career, and one was like a couple months ago.
Yeah.
But never touched skin.
I had two incidents within, they were both 2 months ago, within 5 days of each other, the same week. I was on the saw, and the same thing happened. Somebody asked me a question. I wasn't paying attention. I turned around and started talking with my hands.
Yeah.
And put...
Very Yiddish. What are you talking about?
My left hand got caught in the blade, and it slammed it down, grabbed my cut glove.
Yeah.
It chewed it up the first time really good.
Yeah.
But didn't take it off. But goddamn. It's going to happen one of these times, man.
Well, I have a strict rule of don't talk to people in the bandsaw.
Yeah. Yes, you should have that rule. Yeah.
And to the point where, like, when someone talks to me, like, even if it's my boss, like, I just look at them with that look of, why the fuck are you talking to me as I turn off the bandsaw? And my eyes will say it all of just like this open, awkward, just.
Are you shitting me right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. First question from Ryan Solomon. Let's see. Ryan says that he's worked retail. He's often wondered, what's up with the burn marks on top rounds, flanks, etc.? Also, do you have any ideas for retail butchers who would like to make extra money on the side? And how do you use social media to promote yourselves or your business? Okay. Let's see.
Well, let me tell you about the ground floor of this amazing money opportunity I have. It's called it's opportunity triangle.
Okay.
And so I sell this amazing vitamin supplement that helps you and keeps you aware. And it works great for me. Just look at my life and my perceived success. And if you want that and you want to have the illusion of perceived success, then you should also try this and then sell it as well.
Right.
And then all you need is to take this supplement, get 5 people to sell for you, and then and so on. And then you don't have to work.
Are you talking about the consultation business?
No, I'm just spewing pyramid scheme garbage.
Yeah,
which evens out with the people if you do that 5 times. 5 times, that I think it's 13 times over than you have everyone in the world. 13 times removed.
Really?
Yeah, because you get 5 people and they get 5 people and so on and so forth.
Holy shit.
So, good ways to make money.
Game processing.
What?
Game processing.
Yeah, I was going to say game processing for cash and it's seasonal.
Yeah, go put in like 30 to 40 hours between Friday afternoon and Sunday afternoon. You know, and make $20 an hour cash.
Also depends how badly you want the money.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes,
it is.
If you want that money real badly, you know, you could tuck.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Now, what about this burn marks thing? He says that he works in a large union grocery store in the Seattle area.
I've been to Seattle.
Yeah, I've heard of it. Anyways, he says that he gets these boxed beef subprimals that have char marks, like burn marks on them, grill marks.
Is it a bug mark? It could be an organ stamp, which
he says it's burn marks.
Well, organ stamps is a brand, a USDA bug. That's a brand that they usually use for organ meats.
Yeah. No, I think he's talking about like straight grill lines.
That's weird.
It doesn't make any sense.
No, it could be like weird conveyor belt marks or pressure marks or some shit like that.
Yeah, but it's not going to be burned, though.
No. Send me a picture.
Yeah, send us a picture. Picture it didn't happen.
Also, write your name in the picture on a piece of paper so I know it's you.
Yeah.
And hold up your ID so I know you're over 18.
He says, as far as making more money, I'm looking for something that won't be a conflict of interest and we could do in our spare time, you know, teaching classes or whatnot. I'm also curious. Wow, he's got a lot of questions. Ryan, you got a lot of questions, man. He's also quite curious about what our opinion on Australian versus U.S. grass-fed beef and lamb is. So,
I don't have one because I'm unfamiliar. But if it tastes good and it's, I don't know, socially and economically, whatever words.
Australian grass-fed beef is flooding the market, and that Australian organic grass-fed stuff is flooding the market. Their standards aren't the same, so there's some cost cutting there. It's not very densely populated. There's
more grazing land.
Insane amounts of grazing land.
No one lives in the middle of Australia.
No. It's like Canada. You know, 95% of the population lives within however many miles of the coast in a certain area. What
was the other part about that?
Well, he wants a way to make more money in the industry that's not a conflict of interest. You're gonna have a conflict of interest. That's just what it is, I guess. So a lot of places will make you sign a non-compete. This new job I have, I had to sign a non-compete for the duration of the time that I work there. So I can't work for anyone else in any capacity whatsoever in the meat business while I work for this company.
Now, David, what if you ended up doing like a workshop where people gave you perhaps a donation when you were at this company?
I'm sure that there would be a way to make that work legally. However,
like Catholicism. It's a loophole.
Yeah, no, I'm sure there's a loophole. I guess my suggestion for Ryan is if you want to make more money, go really, really hard in the fall and do process some game, either for yourself or for somebody else who wants to pay cash for a boner, or I don't know what else. I guess you could do classes, but the thing is like,
don't call them classes, call them workshops.
Yeah, if you're doing workshops, you got to think about your time, all of your overhead in every capacity. There's just so many expenses you have to think about, and the marketing and the drumming up business. I mean, if you build it, they're not necessarily going to come.
It also depends where you live.
Yeah,
like if you're going to be doing like a farm workshop versus like a retail workshop, like in Seattle, you could get like so many people every single week who want to come out and drink alcohol and do a class. When I worked in LA, we had sell out classes.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
But it I don't know in a rural setting what it's going to be, or in a different areas, so play to your market. Please don't call it a class, because a class gives an expectation that you have students who are going to walk away as what they are learning. They're not going to walk away as butchers. I see people doing like classes. It's just like, call it a workshop. I don't know, because it cheapens what we do.
Yeah, I think, I agree. I don't know. I'd probably stick to the game processing. I think that I'm sure Ryan is a very competent teacher, but there's just so many people that do something a couple times and then turn around and start teaching other people. And we've talked about this, the watering down of information and technique and stuff. And
it's the photocopy of a photocopy. It starts getting blurry and blurry and blurry, and then eventually it won't make sense.
Yeah.
Not saying what we know is the one true way, but we have taken on experiences from multiple parts of this industry that gives us more than a one-sided perspective.
Yeah, agreed. I don't know. Stick to the non-inspected shit in your off hours. That's what I would do.
Yeah. And if you really want to make that money, Craigslist Personals isn't up and running, but there's always 9th and Broad.
Yeah. A lot of butcher fetish stuff out there. That's what I would do.
And when we were researching for a Valentine's Day episode, not enough butcher fetish stuff either.
No, not enough fan fiction, especially.
Yeah.
So Ryan, another thing that we would suggest is to get into kind of some niche erotica.
Yes.
Maybe like Hassop smut.
I don't know what that would sound like. Would there be sex, or would it just be someone like?
Well, it would be setting an extremely. You'd be organizing an extremely safe and sterile setting for.
Oh, I just imagined it like, oh, please, Inspector, don't give me an NR. And then there's no sex, and it's just the inspector being like, this is dirty, clean it.
Yeah. People, or like, let's see, some like edging stuff where people were just getting really close to their critical limits, but
or just like soaking those dishes.
Yeah. See, that's free, guys. That's free.
And that's the quality you could expect with the Meat Block podcast.
Yeah. All right, we got another one here. This listener says, I started to learn the trade about 18 years ago as a small kid in a small town in Montana. And everything was old school. He was hazed, ridiculed, generally beaten to the ground until proving themselves. And now years later, that old school shit is almost gone, he says.
Mm-hmm.
If I tried that now, I'd be fired and likely sued. Now, all these years later, I find myself surrounded by green youngsters, not unlike myself in those days, and I honestly have no idea how to reach these guys. There's no pride, no work ethic, sometimes not even common sense. Anyways, I'd love some advice on how to not only choose someone that is going to have all those qualities, but also how to nurture those qualities in our existing employees. This reminds me of a few stories you guys would get a kick out of, and maybe give you an idea for a show. The crazy shit your boss first made you do that is completely fucked up now.
Well,
yeah.
Well, in 2018, you don't reach these guys. You keep your hands in your pocket.
Yeah, no touching.
No, I don't know if you experienced, David, but maybe in more of a culinary kitchen background, but I certainly came up in the industry where there was hazing. There was certainly, I have been on both ends of it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I have been ruthless to some people just because I didn't like their fucking face, I guess. I don't know.
Sure.
I think this is the most honest I've been on one of these episodes. I also know that I didn't get as bad hazing as other people got when I was coming up because my brother was in a management position and there was a lot of nepotism there.
Yeah.
Which may be unfair. It's very unfair for the shit that I know that I witness people go through, or me suggesting like what people go through. I remember just like, I would send people on like snipe hunts when they would be, I remember this like new guy was like, all right, what do you want me to do? And I'm like, oh, we had a gravity fed gut line that we would dump our gut bins into this gut chute. And they go in these giant bins and they would fill up and we would run out of room. So every once in a while we need to make more room. And I just say, go down to the rendering room and make more room in the gut bins. And it'd be like, what's that like? And I just hand them a piece of rebar and I'd just be like, start poking guts. Make them deflate.
Oh, man. Yeah.
And then like I remember one time we lost an ear tag that we needed for accountability reasons. And we sent someone down there to collect all the heads under like fucking 50 guts or 50 beefs worth of guts.
Really?
Yeah. And they came back with all the ear tags like an hour later.
No way.
And we all forgot that we sent this person on that mission because we're all cleaning up and all this stuff because it was during the paper end work day, the paperwork part of the day. And they came back and like, oh, I got all those for you. And they're like, oh, we figured that out pretty much immediately.
Yeah. Oh, yikes. Hazing. I don't know. I never really got hazed too badly.
Well, it's all about like, there's stuff that like I would never, if there's a table there, I'm never going to ask people to do anything I wouldn't do. And if there's a table there, I will work you underneath that goddamn table.
Yeah.
So as far as like that kind of shit, like I would go to like, in the gut room and like we all work together and we salted hides. I've had my knives freezing, but I think like that the hazing that like I more or less did was just more like early in my career, not developing like any managerial skills and just having no barrier and just looking at people who weren't that good and be like, you suck. You fucking suck. You should be doing something different. You're not good at this at all. Why are you here?
Let's see.
I don't know if that's hazing or just being terrible.
Just being honest.
Yeah. You have hepatitis. You shouldn't be trimming the carcasses.
I didn't really get hazed, but at the last place that I worked, I got hired in a little higher than some of the other people that had worked there, and everybody always wanted to know how much money I made. And they'd ask and ask and ask, and I tell them, it's none of your fucking business,
Dang.
And one day, I took my check out, and I signed it in my car.
Yeah.
And I, deposited it via the mobile thing, and I put it in the center console of my car. And I went in to work. And while I was working, one of the gals in the shop who like really fucking hated me just because I was new and different, went out and actually Slim Jim'd my driver's side drawer, searched my car, found my pay stub, brought it in, and tacked it to the board, the message board at work, so everybody could see it.
Really? What'd you do?
I was irate,
Yeah.
and so then there was that because I didn't handle it super professionally.
Equal rights means equal lefts. I'm joking. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, it was tough though, and that was I never was able to get on with that crew, which is why I fired them all when I became the manager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I worked at a place. Well, like we're getting off the subject of hazing, but the office lady, she was like new and is like scheduling, and she like had this whole idea of like, she like Googled everyone who worked at the slaughterhouse, and like they were all, a majority of them were felons, who committed some crimes or another. But she did this in a way to like try to blackmail people to like secure her position. And she like tried to pull that trigger once and like told the boss like, well, this guy's, like it was all about drugs and shit. Like, I know you have these pills, give me some pills. Otherwise I'm going to tell the boss about this, like that you're on probation for this or whatever. And she ended up going and telling the boss about like this one person and she's like, yeah, this guy, he's working here, he's done this. And the boss is like, yeah, if I fired everyone who worked here who was a felon, and I have no fucking crew.
Yeah, well, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. Yeah, I wouldn't have had a crew either where I was coming from.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the business, right?
It's the business in some parts of the country.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing that like with this podcast is I want people to know that there's a glamorous retail side of the business. Then there's that part of the business in a rural setting removed from a metropolitan area that doesn't have people who view it as like, oh, I get to be this artisanal butcher, I get to do this. It's like, I need a job and I don't have skills, or I don't have, they may very well have skills. They don't have the luxury of getting something to accommodate their skills because of our prison industrial complex, our modern day slavery, which is the prison system.
Sure. Yes.
Now we're borderlining on like politics, but
yeah, well, we'll circumvent that.
Yeah.
Because
is there more wine in that bottle, or should I open up another bottle? Not that one, that other one.
There is some in there. Let's see. Cody wants to know, he says, I'm a meat geek that raises sheep and, for my day job, work for Neiman Ranch. I've learned we have some fellow meat geek friends in common. While listening to episode 7, I wonder if you've come across something I've experienced. He says, have you found that uncured / naturally cured pork, after having been frozen for 1.5+ years, can have a metallic taste? Well,
I don't think
I've eaten any meat that was frozen for 1.5 years.
I have, but it's never been cured meat. It's always just been fresh cuts.
Yeah, same. I mean, I don't know if I guess I could come up with something that sounds good, but I don't know if it'd be true or not. I mean,
well, lie to the audience.
Yeah. The celery juice powder is just super, super reduced celery juice, which is extremely mineral heavy.
Yeah.
So it's really possible that there's lots of electrolytic minerals in there that he's tasting over time. Maybe there's like some freeze drying that happens over that 1.5 years, and through the quantum tunneling and the uncertainty principle.
And the flux capacitor.
Yeah. It dries out, leaving all of the minerals behind.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
I like it. USDA doesn't recommend freezing anything over 1 year.
Yeah, true.
That being said, the USDA also makes you, not USDA, but there's also, what is it? I saw a meme of like a Himalayan salt that had an expiration date. And on the package it said like forged after so many thousands of years of blah 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 pressure and all this, and expires in
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Good old USDA.
Yeah. I don't know. That seems like a... Why are you keeping stuff that long?
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you got any horror stories, David? This started off as a Halloween episode, and then wine kept on opening, and we kind of drifted off.
Yeah, that's right. Let's see, horror stories. Horror stories. Let's see. No, not really. I mean, I hit that bobcat with my car.
Like a tractor?
No, like an actual feline. Did I tell you about that?
No.
I was out in California. And
I'm familiar.
yeah, you've heard of it. I was actually in the state of Jefferson, as a matter of fact.
If you guys don't know what Jefferson is, it's a libertarian paradise. The thing I don't like about libertarian paradises is they're also like a Christian paradise.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. So I'm driving up to this alpine lake, coming around a curve, and this bobcat, this animal runs out in front of me.
Okay.
In my rental car, I hit it. I couldn't stop, you know. And so I backed up to see what it was, and it was a bobcat.
Why?
Why did I back up to see what it was?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it was something exotic, which it was.
Okay.
You know? And it wasn't dead yet.
Did he stuff it?
Well, first I backed the car up and I ran over its head. So that it wasn't alive anymore.
Intentionally?
Yeah.
Hey, what's that?
And so I left it, and I went up to this lake, and I hung out for a while, and whatever, you know, came back down. It was still on the road, and I thought I felt kind of badly about hitting it. So naturally, I picked it up and I put it in the back of the car, the rental car.
Naturally? I don't know if that's naturally.
Well, I didn't want it to have died in vain, you know. So I took it back, took it back to the cabin I was staying in. And
it sounds like stuff's about to get weird with this dead bobcat.
Yeah, it did. Because I took one of the steak knives and I skinned it out in the kitchen sink.
Oh, I remember getting that image.
Yeah,
that's what was going on there.
That's what was going on. So I skinned it out in the kitchen sink.
And this is a vacation for you.
This is a vacation, yeah.
Do you know what I do on vacation? Enjoy sun, margaritas, and titties.
Well, apparently I dismember animals, and so I took the carcass and I put it in a trash bag in the fridge of the rental cabin.
I hope you left it there.
Well, I'll get to that, and then I found a box of kosher salt in the cupboard, and so I salted the hide, put that in the fridge
Because you're Jewish, yes.
Yeah, and then the next morning,
David, yes.
That's
What's your last name?
Zarling. And so I salted the hide, put it in a Ziploc bag, put it in my lug. And then I had to find a way to dispose of it, but I didn't know where to put it, you know, because I didn't have like a dumpster or anything like that. So I ended up ditching the carcass in a rest stop garbage can.
Yes.
Which I feel like is the right place to ditch a body.
Mm-hmm. And this is the bones and everything like that?
Yeah, just the whole carcass, yeah.
Do you still have that pelt?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you have it with you now?
Not with me. No, it's salted and it's curing, and I'm gonna make a pouch for my tarot cards.
You have tarot cards? What's up with that?
I don't know.
Why do you have tarot cards?
Because I feel like
fucking weirdo.
I feel like my intuition isn't very strong, and so I need to work on that.
God, you're like a goth chick.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities there.
Weird. I see it now. I see your brown lipstick with black eyeliner around it.
That's what that is. Yeah, that's not my natural pigment.
Yeah. Weird. I'm into the cult too,
Yeah.
but more like in a different way. That's cool.
Not skinning out animals on vacation or tarot cards, but in a different way.
No, but I believe in, now we're getting into the people who are still listening at this point to our Halloween episode are like, what the fuck is going on? As we've consumed 3 bottles of wine during this period. That more in the sense of like, it sounds super lame, but it's not the secret, but it's like the projection of just like thought into being.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the practical magic aspect of like convincing myself like my personality, I will never be happy with the current situation that I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean that it just means like strive for like, okay, you got this job, you did this, now do that. Now, like, oh, you should start a podcast. You started a podcast. Oh, you should make the American team. Okay. You want to live on the water? Fucking do it.
Mm-hmm.
You want to do this? Fucking do it. Like, and that's just my mindset of just like, we tackled this. Let's do this. Now my mindset's like, now you're on the American team. Let's be the best. Do everything you can to win.
Right. Yeah.
So that's where all my energy is.
Mm-hmm.
And so like my thoughts of just like, what do I need to do to achieve that?
Yeah.
So I go through every single cut sheet. I go, and then I just tell myself like, you got this, you got this, you got this, along with tons of self-doubt mixed in there.
Sure. Of course.
And tons like of just like imposter syndrome, insecurity peppered in. Like I almost did a mental health episode like, couple weeks ago, but I didn't.
Yeah, we could do some more of those. We could probably do one just on imposter syndrome.
Yeah, well, the whole thing that kicked it off is it was like mental health week a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And being diagnosed bipolar like I am, and I don't say that in the sense where people are like, well, I get mood swings, I'm bipolar. It's like I kind of was like locked up against my will. Not like, living in institutions. It was pretty terrible. It wasn't that long. It's just like 3 weeks. Like same vein when I hear people say like, I'm really OCD about it. It's like, oh, so you like wash your hands till they bleed? You fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I hate it when people say that too.
Yeah. But I worked with this guy, and he used to always tell me like, I hate my life, I want to kill myself and all this stuff, and I'd be like, like, that's like, stop, like, don't tell me that, that's weird, I don't know how to respond, I don't have comforting words. And I thought he was joking half the time because he'd say it with a smile on his face and all this shit. And then I found out like about a month ago that he did kill himself.
No shit.
And I hadn't worked with him in like about a year.
Wow.
And my thoughts were like, well, how does this affect me? I want to feel sad too. Like, but it, like in a weird way of just like, did I fuck up? By not addressing those things that I perceived as jokes.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be like one of those things where it's like, it's terrible that this gentleman felt this was the solution. And if you're on this side of dying, then you're okay. And it really just like made me want to do a mental health episode because like I've said it in the past that like having an awkward, 75% of suicides are secondhand suicides essentially, where they're decided within 5 minutes of the act, where it's like, it's suicides. A large portion of suicides aren't these long, dramatic, drawn out things. They're just like, I'm sad.
Impulsive.
Yeah. And that's why they call them secondhand. So like, did he experience that, or was his, what I perceived as just weird, dark humor a precursor to that of just him a year before, 2 years before, saying like, "Hey, how's it going today? Sucks. I hate my life. I want to kill myself." Or was that like a cry for help, or was that just him?
Sure.
You know, and so it just made me start thinking about this. And I just got to fall back on what I've said in the past. It's like, I hate processing. I hate talking about feelings. I hate it when people talk to me about feelings. But I love talking about my own feelings. But is the conversation worth trying to have? If it means that it keeps you on this side of dying.
Yeah.
I don't know what. I don't know. It's weird. Happy Halloween.
Yeah, indeed.
I've said it in the past, and I'll say it right now. This podcast is my therapy. If you don't like it, give me 1 star, and you could go suck your own sausage.
Yeah. We've got a couple other butchery podcasts to suggest to you.
Yeah.
If this one isn't for you.
I want to know who's listening right now. Who's just like, I thought this was about me.
Yeah.
This is depressing.
Well, Neil's probably there. And, furnishings.
You're going to buy furniture in Portland and then bring it all the way to Wairika?
Yeah.
Have you heard of not having furniture and going to a lumber yard and getting cinder blocks and 2x4s like my dad did when my mom left him?
Really? Yeah.
Dire Straits was playing in the background.
Oh, man.
Sultan's the Swing.
Just again and again.
I don't know the level of that song's impact, but it's a phrase I've heard my mom say every time Sultan's the Swing come on. This is the song that was playing when I left your father.
This is one of your favorite songs.
You know, it's one of my favorite songs.
Yeah.
But I also do love my dad.
Yeah.
But like, who doesn't love Dire Straits?
That's true.
A band that in 2018 you could still listen on a classic rock station, and they dropped the hard F.
The hard F.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact.
Yeah. And it's like one of those songs where it's like, when I sing along, I'm like, I can't sing along to this.
No, can't say that anymore. Nor do you want to.
No,
but boy, was it different.
Yeah.
20 years ago, 25 years ago.
That was 30 years ago.
30 years ago. Yep.
That's the way you do it. Money for nothing and your chicks for free.
Yeah, Mark Knopfler is a hell of a guitar player.
Dude, his solo stuff, pretty great.
Yeah.
His Pandora Station, pretty great.
Really? Yeah, I'd like to talk about, I want to figure out how to tie up all the experience from leaving the farm into some sort of information to relay.
Well, I'm still recording. My advice to you, David, and the listener is this. Time only moves forward. Every job I have ever taken has been because of upward mobility. I could rarely use a place as a reference because I have left them at an inconvenient time because of their dependence on what I brought to the table as I was leaving to make more money. There's never a perfect time to end a relationship, personal or professional. There may be, in the sense of David farted, of like a business closing and then you needing to find another thing. No one is ever the perfect candidate when you are hiring. You could take people with skills and do your best, but you will never be 100% happy with them.
Yeah, true. That's so true.
And I guess that's my advice. What up, meatheads? It's Travis, American Butcher, and I hope you enjoyed that spooktacular, deep, thought-provoking, maybe, I don't know, episode of the Meat Block Podcast. I'm sorry I may have gotten a little uncomfortable there during part of it, but it's also okay to be uncomfortable. Awkward conversations, forced conversations are good to have every once in a while. And after this week, we'll be back with, our regular scheduled programming, whatever that is. We'll be talking about cuts. We'll be talking about cooking methods, perhaps a sausage, some meat things. We got some stuff in the works for you like we always do. We got some stuff slow cooking and brewing, ready for your ears. If you liked what you heard on this week's episode, then please leave a 5-star review on iTunes. And please leave a comment. It means the world to me when I get comments and I read them. It's like a silver lining on a cloudy day. It brightens up the weather here in the Pacific Northwest, which is changing and shifting, and autumn is here, and the leaves are changing. The sound is getting rougher. Earlier today, I saw some logs float by on the sound that were chained up. I live close to, well, not close to, I live in a logging area where they have the giant log rafts. And when I say like some logs rolled by, like probably like 30 logs all bundled together, drifted because they moored free from their piers that they're on over across in the Everett side of the sound. And if you want to get a hold of us here at the Meat Block, if you have suggestions for shows or want to say hi, you can email us at themeatblockpodcast@gmail.com or hit us up on Instagram at the Meat Block. If you want to get a hold of Ryan, he is at Gather and Break on Instagram. David is at A Farm Butcher on Instagram, and I am at American Butcher on Instagram. Another thing that you could do to help certainly me out and your patriotism for your love of America is to type in the Butchers Guild USA on Instagram and support the GoFundMe. Also, the link is in my bio of my Instagram page. Also, if you are a brand and or service or a company, say you sell, I don't know, boots, and you say, I think these are quality boots, and I think butchers would love to wear these boots, and I would love to sponsor the American team with not obvious, but money is always great. And then, we could work out something where we wear those great, fabulous, hypothetical boots. I almost forgot, but November 8th, I will be at the Washington Fairgrounds doing a part of a workshop focused on farming, and I will be giving a talk and leading a class or something where I'm going to talk about yield expectations and what farmers can expect and how farmers can communicate with butchers. And I'm also going to record the thing. But if you are in the Pacific Northwest, please hit me up if you're interested in this. It's called Focus on Farming. And I think it's going to be really exciting. It's going to be great if you're a small farmer to learn just the steps of how to make money. There's going to be a lot of great speakers there. It's called Focus on Farming.